Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So we are in Genesis chapter 38, and we're going to talk about Judah and Tamar. And this can also be found in 1 Chronicles 2, 3 through 4. Holy Spirit, we just invite you into this word as we read your word, that you would give us guidance and understanding as well as wisdom. In Yeshua's name. So, Judah and Tamar. About that time, Judah left his brothers and settled near a man named Hirah, an Adullamite. There Judah saw the daughter of a Canaanite man named Shua, and he took her as his wife and slept with her. So she conceived and gave birth to a son, and Judah named him Again she conceived and gave birth to a son, and she named him Onan. She then gave birth to another son and named him Shelah. It was at Chezib that she gave birth to him. Now Judah acquired a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord put him to death. Then Judah said to Onan, "Sleep with your brother's wife, perform your duty as her brother-in-law, and raise up offspring for your brother." But Onan knew that the offspring would not belong to him. So whenever he would sleep with his brother's wife, he would spill his seed on the ground so that he would not produce offspring for his brother. What he did was wicked in the sight of the Lord, so he put Onan to death as well. Then Judah said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, "Live as a widow in your father's house until my son Shelah grows up." For he thought, he may die too, like his brothers. So Tamar went to live in her father's house. After a long time, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. When Judah had finished mourning, he and his friend Hirah, the Adullamite, went up to the sheep shearers at Timnah, when Tamar was told, "Your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear the sheep." She removed her widow's garments, covered her face with a veil to disguise herself, and sat at the entrance to Anem, which is on the way to Timnah. For she saw that although Shelah had grown up, she had not been given to him as a wife. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute because she had covered her face, not realizing that she was his daughter-in-law. He went over to her and said, "Come now, let me sleep with you." "What will you give me for sleeping with you?" she inquired. "I will send a young goat from my flock," Judah answered. But she replied, "Only if you leave me something as a pledge until you send it." "What pledge should I give you?" he asked. She answered, "Your seal and your cord, and the staff in your hand." So he gave them to her and slept with her, and she became pregnant by him. Then Tamar got up and departed, and she removed her veil and put on her widow's garments again. Now, when Judah sent his friend Hirah to the Adullamite with the young goat to collect the items he had left with the woman, he could not find her. He asked the men of that place, "Where is the shrine prostitute who was beside the road in Anem?" "No shrine prostitute has been here," they answered. So Hirah returned to Judah and said, "I could not find her, and furthermore, the men of that place said no shrine prostitute has been here." "Let her keep the items," Judah replied. "Otherwise, we will become a laughingstock. After all, I did send her this young goat, but you could not find her." About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Your daughter-in-law, Tamar, has prostituted herself, and now she is pregnant." "Bring her out," Judah replied. "Let her be burned to death." As she was being brought out, Tamar sent a message to her father-in-law, "I am pregnant by the man to whom these items belong." And she added, "Please examine them. Whose seal and cord and staff are these?" Judah recognized these items and said, "She is more righteous than I, since I did not give her to my son, Shelah, and he did not have relations with her again." The birth of Perez and Zerah. When the time came for Tamar to give birth, there were twins in her womb. As she was given birth, one of them put out his hand so that the midwife took a scarlet thread and tied it around his wrist. This one came out first, she announced. But when he pulled his hand back and his brother came out, she said, "You have broken out first." So he was named Perez. Then his brother came out with the scarlet thread around his wrist, and he was named Zerah. So the first thing that comes to my mind with this is, notice that there's a pattern throughout all of the Old Testament and throughout of twins. Two nations warring against each other. Two nations being born. And we even go back to Cain and Abel. One was evil, one was good. So there's a war. And then I think in myself, the war in this world. We are warring not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers of darkness. There's good and evil throughout this land. And then I'm also reminded that God stated in the last days, he's just speaking to me, sorry, that the wheat and the tares shall grow up together, and the angels shall go out. And when you look at wheat and tares, how do they determine the difference? Because they both look exactly alike. But how do you determine the difference of them? When the sun comes out, the wheat bows. The tare stays straight up because it's prideful. And this is so amazing to understand. I hope that you caught that. But we are warring, two nations are warring, Isaac and Ishmael. It goes all the way back through history to Cain and Abel. It's continuous. One will serve Satan as his God, and the other Adonai, Eloheinu. So which one are you serving today? We're also reminded that the Lord had to divorce his church because of adultery, because she was dabbling in the world. She couldn't pick. She was having an affair with Satan or the world. So he had to form a divorce decree in order that she would remain righteous. And then he had to die on the cross so that she wouldn't be remaining in her sin. Otherwise, she would have to go to hell. It's amazing. Once you dive into the word and he starts to speak to you and he bubbles stuff up out of you, it's amazing. If we just do a deep dive, the Bible is here for doctrine, reproof, to help us to understand the times we're living in right now. He is amazing. If we would just continue to study to be approved. I hope this helps you today, and I pray that you have a happy Sabbath. Shabbat Shalom.